People who were childhood friends with a now celebrity. Who were they and what were they like as a young person? Late to the party, but I knew Billy Joe Armstrong and the Green Day guys, and the Rancid guys, in their early times from my punk rock days. I did not know them well, but they were the nicest guys ever. I was standing in line with some friends at one of their sold out shows, and Billy Joe darted out, ran up to us and said, "What are you guys doing standing in line when there's equipment to be brought in? Don't be silly." He then brought us back to their van and gave us each a cymbal, a bass drum pedal, etc. Something little we could each carry in and jump the line as roadies, since we were old pals from early on. I ran into him backstage years later at a Weezer show. Again, I hadn't known them well, but knew them a bit before they were famous. Billy Joe came up to me, addresses me by name, and we had a nice chat. Success couldn't have come to a group of more deserving guys. My mother went to elementary school with Jennifer Lopez, and said that both her and her mother were complete snobs. Apparently Jennifer would call me Dark Dominican, mother a roach and shit. Not fucking cool. Not me, but my dad used to be friends and play basketball with Shaquille O'Neal when they were around 13. They lived a couple houses away from each other at one point. My dad always resorted to clinging to his leg to keep him from scoring. He was a tank compared to my dad even back then. Not me, but my aunt. She knew Snoop during high school, and at the time everyone there were getting into colors. She decided to join in, tied a bandana to her arm. Later in the day he took it from her, without a word. Turns out that people wearing her color were being hunted down. Overall, pretty cool dude. I hear he hasn't changed much. My grandma was neighbors with Al Capone. She casually told me that he would come over for coffee some mornings. House was on 72nd and Prairie. Edit update, visiting of my sisters. She tells me that on grandma's wedding day they went to a speakeasy. After a dance back at the table was an expensive bottle of champagne with a note attached from Al. My grandma went to high school with Ted Bundy. She said he was quiet and didn't really have any friends. My younger brother was friends with Justin Bieber. I didn't know him super well, saw him here and there, but always stood out even before he was famous, as he was the type of kid who would very loudly make fun of and bully others. I remember him being kicked off the city buses a few times for yelling at and being rude to mentally physically disabled people, along with just old people in general as well. All around my memory of him was that he was an asshole. My cousin went to school with him. He said that Justin tried to hang out with older kids, but they would pick on him really hard. He would then make fun of some of his classmates with the exact insults the older kids had said to him. Like he would literally say the same thing. This is 100% true. I went to school with him and rode the bus with him after school. One time, he sprayed Axe down the bus aisle and lit it on fire to stir shit up. Another time, he made fun of a girl from a lower socio-economic background by putting up his DC shoes to her seat and telling her, "My shoes cost more than your house." The entire bus laughed and the girl got off at the next stop. He was an awful person. My dad interned with Tom Hanks when he first started out at the Great Lakes Shakespeare Festival. He was always very kind and charismatic with everyone, and just a constant ball of energy. When his son Colin was born, he proudly showed him off to everybody. He was probably just days old. About 3 years ago, there was a reunion of all the Great Lakes interns. My dad went, not knowing if he was going to show up and if he did, if he'd remember him. But not only did he show up, he approached my dad and remembered him by his full name. He is honestly just a really great man. Tom Hanks will always be the golden standard of good dudes. If tomorrow you read Tom Hanks punched a nun, your first thought would be, what the F did that nun do? I was best friends with Post Malone in high school, and he's pretty much the same person he was then in high school that he is now, just some more wild adventures. But his personality has been that same, and it's nice to see. With the fame and money he stayed who he is. Fun fact, he used to be an indie music guy in high school, wore Hawaiian v-necks, high watertight black jeans, and Toms. Coolest, chilliest, and funniest dude you could have hung out with. Emma Stone. She was very bright, intelligent, and naturally charismatic. She often got the lead in all of the school plays. I remember one year, in our 3rd grade play, the main role was something she really wanted, and I ended up getting it. Even though she was disappointed, she still told me congratulations and that she thought I would do a good job. We used to play gymnastics at her house all the time and pretend we were Carrie Strug. Her parents got us both USA leotards. She was a sweet girl. We kind of split up later in elementary school and don't talk anymore, but she was a great friend. Also wanted to add that I called her by her real name, Emily, haha. My old roommate went to high school with Jake and Logan Paul. He said it was when they were starting to get big on Vine, they started turning into complete a-holes. So nothing has changed. My roommate in college shared a class with Logan before he dropped out. Said Logan would always tell people, "Do you know who I am?" whenever they didn't immediately recognize him. My brother-in-law went to high school with 69. He would ding-dong ditch, but would punch people in the face when they opened the door. I also went to that same high school, but a couple of years after he left. He used to hang out with my sister's friends. They stopped messing with him because he was a huge a-hole and my sister and her friends were just not about that life. My friend is a mild child actor and was in a few movies growing up. One of them was with Robin Williams. He said that Robin Williams was amazing and he gave him a PlayStation for his birthday. I don't think of him as a celebrity, but I went to law school with Ted Cruz, Republican senator from Texas, former presidential candidate who ran against Trump in the primary. He was a year behind me, so I didn't have classes with him, but I was in the law school drama society with him and we were in a play together. He had a reputation for being uber conservative and highly ambitious even back then. I couldn't disagree with his politics more, but my recollection is that he was a hard worker and a good actor. Knew his lines, showed up to rehearsal, really got into character. People were impressed with the fact that he was on Law Review, a huge time commitment, and had a leading role in a drama production, another huge time commitment. I don't recall anyone else trying to manage both. Although, he did get very drunk at the cast party the night before our final performance, and had to walk off stage to be sick. Studied performing arts in Baltimore and shared a stage several times with Tupac. He was kind, sweet, and brilliant. His public persona was just his brand. The rest of us knew then he was going to do something great. Other people would do 2 or 3 person workshops on stage and the rest of the group would study lines or workshop on the floor in the corner, but when he was up, everyone would watch. His only dream was to be kind, and his drive to success was for no other reason than to be able to be kind to as many people as he could. Logan and Jake Paul are my cousins. We used to spend a lot of time together on my grandparents' farm when we were younger. Jake was always a shit. When we played soccer he would complain whenever he could to get a foul shot or a redo. Logan was fun to be around. He's about 2 years older than me and helped me a lot when I was trying to figure out college. Now they've been written out of our grown mothers' will because they are huge dicks. Their parents are divorced and spiteful every time they're together about who is responsible for their children's success. No one in the family ever thought they would be the ones to make it. My dad was a teacher at Keanu Reeves School. It was a special high school for kids that work either TV, movies, music or modeling. It was a normal school, just very flexible to help kids that essentially have work schedules to get a good education. Around the time The Matrix came out I asked my dad what Keanu Reeves was like. He said he was very well liked by all the teachers as well as all the students, as far as he knew. No one expected him to go anywhere with his career though, because he wasn't really that driven and the prevailing wisdom at the time was only kids that are 100% I wanna be famous had a chance to make it big. Keanu was just too relaxed about the whole thing. My dad remembered wishing him well even though he basically failed at school. I remember him describing Keanu as really nice. You wanted him to succeed but he seemed doomed to fail. Just a really dumb, nice kid.